Section 1. The Internal Foundation, Privacy and Self-Awareness.
So, psychologists note that people who rarely post pictures have what's known as a high privacy orientation, while a vast majority of the digital world relies heavily on external validation. The endless pursuit of likes, comments, and views. The non-poster relies almost entirely on internal validation. They place a huge premium on having total control over their own mental space. They literally do not need to announce their life events to a giant digital crowd just to feel good about those events. And this brilliantly illustrates a powerful psychological concept called self-concept clarity. Basically, this means having a strong, completely distinct sense of exactly who you are. People who share less online typically score off the charts in this area. They know their core values, they understand their personal goals, and they are intimately aware of what genuinely matters to them. Because this foundation is just rock solid, they simply don't need the external applause of an online audience to validate their identity. They already know exactly who they are. Because they possess that incredible self-concept clarity, their joy is internally generated. Happiness comes from within, not from chasing digital trends. They're way less likely to jump onto the latest viral dance craze or constantly compare their real, messy, behind-the-scenes life to someone else's perfectly curated highlight reel. They've essentially bypassed the whole digital rat race because their happiness just isn't tied to how an audience reacts to them.
Moving on to Section 2, the behavioral expression, emotional security and depth.
A super clear profile really starts to emerge for these individuals. Posting less is directly linked to having incredibly secure self-esteem. It's a specific type of confidence that just doesn't need constant attention to survive. Because of this, these folks are notably less anxious and significantly less approval-seeking. So instead of pouring all that energy into curating a fake digital persona, they channel it into being hyper-focused on real-world roles. They aren't going to post selfies to prove their worth to you, simply because they already feel entirely complete within themselves.
Now, the crucial psychological mechanism at play here is called the internal locus of evaluation. This is the cognitive trait of judging yourself purely by your own standards, rather than the constantly shifting standards or opinions of the crowd. This is exactly why non-posters are often such deep thinkers. They're highly introspective. They think really carefully before they speak. And on the rare occasion they do choose to post or share something, it's only because it genuinely matters to them based on their own internal metric of value. Because they're operating from that internal locus of evaluation, their communication style is fundamentally different from the digital norm. They actively avoid those superficial, fleeting online interactions that totally dominate social platforms today. Instead, they crave and cultivate authentic, real-world conversations. They just aren't interested in being loud show-offs. What they want is depth, genuine connection, and absolute authenticity in how they interact with the world. Section 3. The worldview. Escaping the digital illusion. To really understand their worldview, we've got to look at social comparison theory. This is the psychological phenomenon where we constantly measure our own worth against the carefully curated, highly filtered highlight reels of everyone else. The non-posters, these invisible profiles we've been talking about, they acutely understand this theory in practice. They see the digital illusion for exactly what it is, a giant funhouse mirror that completely distorts reality. And knowing how easily reality gets distorted, they take active measures to defend themselves. By intentionally staying low-key, they're actively building a fortress around their mental health to protect it from that exhausting, endless cycle of digital comparison. It's really not an accident. It's a deliberate, highly intelligent strategy to safeguard their peace of mind in an incredibly noisy world. It really all boils down to one incredibly powerful soundbite from our source material. They choose peace over performance. In a society that practically demands we constantly perform our lives for an audience of acquaintances and strangers, these individuals make the conscious, beautifully grounded choice to just opt for inner peace instead. Which brings us to Section 4, the resolution, redefining real confidence. Let's look at the reality of the non-poster one last time. They are emotionally grounded, highly intelligent, especially when it comes to emotional intelligence and navigating social structures, and profoundly self-aware. So the next time you're scrolling through your feed and you happen to notice one of those invisible profiles, I want you to stop and recognize these empowering traits. Don't fall back into that old trap of assuming they're just shy or awkward. Recognize the immense strength that actually takes to stay quiet in a very loud room. They don't need to be seen to feel seen.
When you strip away all the social media performance, the likes, the comments, and the endless pursuit of digital validation, this is what remains. A person who is so entirely comfortable in their own skin that their visibility to others has absolutely no bearing on their value to themselves.
So I want to leave you with a slightly provocative question. Does your need for digital validation match your actual inner security? It's a mirror we probably all need to look into from time to time. As we wrap up this explainer, I really encourage you to think deeply about your own relationship with posting, sharing, and self-worth. Are you posting to simply share a moment? Or are you posting to feel validated? Thank you so much for joining me today. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and I will see you in the next explainer.